watching and listening to Tags Live, and I'm talking about Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. I'm your host, Stevie. We're here every Wednesday night on the Vocal platform. This is episode 436. I am your host, Stevie, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well. Happy Black History Month. I'm wearing my flowers for the ancestors, darling. I would have worn like more African garb, but I don't really have anything, unfortunately. But
You have a whole month.
I do, and I already made plans to go out and do some things and make sure that I'm getting the cultural experience and learning the things that I want to learn during this month and taking advantage, because that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Recognizing, and you're coming over Friday for another meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I have something from Africa that maybe I'll style you. And yeah.
So okay, I would love that. Fabulous.
All right. We have so much to get into on this episode 436, but we always love to comment when you guys comment back to us. And one of them is from a recent episode 435, when we told the story of Circus of Books in West Hollywood of a guy that went in and tried to snag a 30-inch, that's right, you heard me right, dildo, throw it over his shoulder and walk out the door. He wasn't successful. He was pretty clumsy, and the front desk clerk was able to nab him and take that dildo back. Thank goodness, because it was
mine over my shoulder before. It wasn't a dildo though. It was just mine.
That dildo was valued at $700, so she was not about to lose that and get caught on that. But we always love it when you comment back to us. And the Brad Shreve said on our Instagram account at TAGSPodcast, I try hard not to judge anyone's kinks or desires, but the thought of a 30-inch dildo makes me clench harder than I thought was possible. True and not for some people, as an upcoming episode that we're going to be having on the show is with Dr. Goldstein. The amazing Dr. Goldstein, proctologist, the ass doctor. I just love him dearly. I pre-recorded a show with him, and he's going to be going over everything our ass region and keeping us safe and healthy so we can really enjoy those things. And one of the things we talked about was taking things like fists and a 30-inch dildo. And he wants everybody to enjoy whatever kink they want. You just have to take the proper precautions. So believe it or not, from a proctologist, from a leading doctor, you can enjoy those things. Now, are you going to do it every day? No, but it is possible to enjoy that. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode with Dr. Goldstein, because he's going to really break it down on how you can enjoy that, still remain healthy, and so much. I learned so much, and we've had him on so many times.
Yeah, he's great.
You're going to want to take notes on this episode, so stay tuned for that.
Fabulous. Can't wait.
Yes. We were also talking about, and it's so funny because our other co-host, I sent this story over to Jeremy Ross Lopez, who watches The Real Friends of Weho, who just was texting me about this very story right now. The Real Friends of Weho star Dorion Renaud, who is on the show, calls out the show for being fake. He says he was betrayed by the production company. That's right. One of the things, Kodi, that he said he was betrayed by was that they said that they were going to put this on Paramount Plus, but in the end it came on MTV. I don't know what a betrayal that really was. Who really cares, in my opinion, right? Does he?
I mean, there's a paywall. There's a paywall for Paramount Plus, but so many people have Paramount Plus that I don't understand how he thought it wouldn't get out, or his performance and his poor behavior, and all of their poor behavior wouldn't get out there into the world. So anyway, continue with this.
I mean, he addresses the whole Drag Race controversy of how it cut into the 90-minute Drag Race show, and he said they had no knowledge of that wasn't in the contract. That's fine. He also says things like he was told that it was going to be a docuseries style that would just follow him around working on his brand and showing parts of his personal life. Quote, also, I was told the show would be on the streaming service Paramount. I initially said no several times, but finally signed my contract at the last minute. Okay, I think that's the key word. You signed your contract. So when you sign your contracts for this, you know he's a smart man. It's a reality show, and they want the drama. And I don't know why he was disillusioned to think differently. He said that production kept him in the dark for so long about the cast. There was no way I could say no. Who comes and goes? He had a lot to say about it, and he wants nothing to do with it, and he's not promoting it. I think he showed who he was, and he's showing who he was. I think he has said that the cast, they've gotten a lot of backlash. It's sad today because there are trolls on the internet. They've gotten death threats and just hateful. But he's clearly stated on the show that he doesn't need the money. I think he clearly stated on his glamour shot or testimonial that he's not doing this for the money. So, and if he's not doing it for his brand either, what's the point, right? Then why did you do this in the first place? You know where they're going to go with this stuff. They're always going to make it a reality show, and they're looking for the drama. You happen to be part of the early drama of it all, and I think you just need to write it out, not read the comments and move on. But to take such a divisive, absolute, I want nothing to do with this, I'm not going to promote this, I didn't understand what was really going on. It's 2023. You should know. They want the drama. It's a reality show.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, no one deserves death threats. That's number one, first and foremost. But this man comes from a reality TV background. So I would think he would be very familiar. He was on College Hill before. So I think it would be very, very familiar with the platform and how to actually navigate these situations and things of that nature. Mama Ru has a song out there called Blame It on the Edit. And they can only do so much with what they give to you at the end of the day. And I think that he hasn't learned that. And I think that he really needs to take account for his stock in what he actually portrayed on this TV show. So, yeah.
We are live here every Wednesday night on the Vocal platform, and Eli Vasquez watching us says, I'm sure he took the paycheck though. And I'm sure he did too. Thank you very much.
Donate it to charity if you don't need it. How about that?
Alan W says, it's too bad as I think we all want this show to succeed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he did this interview in the first place anyways, because yes, he was a part of the first initial drama. You know there's going to be drama of it all. I just think ride with it. It wasn't that serious. Yes, he doesn't look the greatest in it, but he doesn't look that bad. I think the other guy, Joey, looks worse and petty and has his tail between his legs and is going to have to apologize more to the rest of them. But why do something, sign a contract, say you're Mr. Business, you know what's what, and then go on, oh, I didn't know, when you don't like the first edits. You've been on a reality show before, like you just stated. You know how this works. It's 2023. Grow up, man up, person up, they up, whatever you want to call it, and take your paycheck and call it a day. And don't do any more. This is your second foray at this kind of thing. Don't do any more.
And I think that Alan is correct. We do want this show to exceed. I'm not mad at the show. I think the show has its own value, and it is spreading the good word of homosexuality out there in the world. I just don't want it to cut into an hour and a half of Drag Race. I still need my 90 minutes of Drag Race. I do not want the real friends of Weho to take anything away from Mama Ru. She deserves it all.
And just to be clear, did it used to be 90 minutes and then you got untucked, or was it that was untucked?
90 minutes and then you get untucked. So it's 2 hours of our queens, and they deserve the whole thing. Because I don't want to go into it too much, because I can go on ad
We said we
nauseum
were going to
about
move
this
on a
type
little
of
bit
thing.
more tonight, too. We're 10
But
minutes in. We go say your last comment and we're moving on.
so yes, but we used to get so much more content from Drag Race. It used to be more of the Rue's time with the queens that we're not getting right now, and I just think that it's just ridiculous. I need my 90 minutes of Drag Race at the end of the day.
Got it. And we don't blame them. They're not. We
Yeah,
know that
they're not at fault.
Yeah, exactly. Read that comment from Bryce before we move on.
Bryce says Todrick says something about Drag Race being reduced to 60 minutes and that Weho didn't steal their time. I don't know what to believe. Me either.
I honestly believe they don't have a say in the time frame of what's what. I think it was part of the overall deal. I think RuPaul probably made more money. Isn't VH1 that they were on formerly also owned by MTV? It's all the same parent company.
Yes. They're all under, I think, Paramount.
The thing is, switching them over, Ru probably got a better deal with all of this coming in to they're commanding all more money and everything. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Who knows? Only Mama Ru knows. And I just kind of want to read this comment because it's really shady. Okay. Xavier says, I've learned to never believe Todrick. And I'm not going to say I agree or disagree. But I just thought that was so hilarious.
Yes,
thank you, Xavier,
of course.
for that. We live for that.
Again, we are live. It's Wednesday night. We are happy to be here. We got to get into a little bit of medical news. And one of the things we wanted to let you know, because we did start the conversation about monkeypox, which later turned into Mpox, apparently is almost gone in the U.S., but it's leaving a little bit of mysteries in its wake. The U.S. Public Health Emergency Declaration for Mpox ended Tuesday, January 31st, yesterday. The outbreak, which once seemed to be spiraling out of control, has quietly wound down, and the virus isn't completely gone, but for more than a month, the average number of daily cases reported in the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has hovered in the single digits, and that's plummeting from August, which had a peak of about 450 cases. So cases are also down in Europe, the West Pacific, Asia, but still rising in South American countries. And this is leading data from the World Health Organization. One of the things that I think this story, I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com. I'm going to combine it with the links that I said I would post from 435, episode 435. They'll all be in show notes. But is that it is going down, and they're deciding now that it's no longer a cause of concern. It's funny how it was for so long. The in-depth article goes on to essentially say that the mystery behind it is, where do we go from here? We're not seeing cases now, thank goodness. There's about 30 plus cases of deaths that we had from it. And are we in this latent period right now because it's winter? And what's going to mean when the summer months come around? Also, one of the things that they accrue to the success of the numbers was they really believed that the community adhered to abstaining from certain sexual practices within that period when it was really big, Kodi. So we're talking like last summer. They accrue that to the fact that that's why cases went down. But since we're in winter and we get into summer, they don't really necessarily know, are the vaccines that they gave us, are they going to last the long haul? Okay. It's just an interesting conundrum. And I mean, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm glad I'm vaccinated, double vaccinated. I just think we just got to move on. It's just interesting how the authorities of it all are putting it to rest currently.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I am vaccinated as well. I'm really glad that I got it, even though I'm not really out there having that kind of anonymous sex that I used to have back in the day because I have my partner now. I do think that it allows me more freedom to actually go out and be with other people and skin to skin and the big parties and venues that I love to go to and have fun without worry that something I'll contract monkeypox. I do think that it's also good that the powers that be have their eye on this and they're really on the lookout for us. And I think that we as a people are finally learning lessons and doing what needs to be done as far as these outbreaks are concerned, the gay community specifically, because I feel like gay men are a huge issue as to why this wasn't bigger than it could have been, because we have learned some hard lessons about pandemics and things of that nature and how
Stigmas.
Yes, and how we can protect our own health and be our own advocate for our safety and for our health. So, yes, I'm so glad for us. Thank you. Thank you, gay men.
Absolutely.
And non-binary people and everybody in the LGBTQ umbrella.
Love it. Staying in the same area storyline of our health, there's a TikTok creator who goes by the name of Chris Olsen, and he's gone viral recently. I think you know him. Some are questioning whether he is oversharing. He was talking recently about chlamydia, and in one of his posts, he said that he has contracted chlamydia over 3 times. He has 10 million followers and nearly 1 million on Instagram. He shared a video revealing that he's contracted chlamydia 3 times. He's using this moment to urge people to end the stigma, also to share more unwarranted information about his dating life. So in the video, I think you watched it too, or you were listening in.
I listened to it as you were
playing. He was essentially walking down the street, talking about how he went to a clinic and got tested for chlamydia, and the nurse said he told her exactly what he was doing and that he's a person that sleeps with other men, I think is what he stated. And she said, actually, you should have no problem with that. Basically insinuating that he's very attractive. And they had a kiki moment, and she said, my son would think you're attractive. Apparently the nurse had a gay son. Okay. And he did his due diligence and researched the son and found out that he not only knew the son, but had slept with the son's current boo. Did I get this right, Kodi?
It's something like that. I feel like
it was convoluted.
Yeah, it is.
The point being
it's a little bit messy for sure.
It was messy that he was sharing on this TikTok video. I think the point of it all, I'll post it on TAGSPodcast.com so you can watch it for yourselves. I think the point of it all being is that he was saying that he contracted chlamydia 3 times.
Yes.
Is this where we're at with STIs? I mean, to be honest, I've got chlamydia 1 time in my life. That's the only STI I've ever gotten. I got it, interestingly enough, Kodi, on a cruise that I'm about to go on again. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, it'd be different.
I know. But I got it on the Vakaya cruise line, and I'm going on a Vakaya cruise line in a week. And I know exactly who I got it from. This guy was very sexy, very hot. He was I just know I got it from him. He was dirty, nasty, not in a good way, sexually. But I was telling you offline what he did. You had fun. I definitely had fun. He did do something to me that was a little, I didn't ask for it. I'm into water sports. No. I am into water sports at times. He chose to, after fucking me, piss in my ass, which I did not ask for. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my.
Right. And I pushed him away when he started doing that. Yeah, exactly. That's a whole thing to get into. That's another show. But I did get it and cleared it up. This guy's talking about 3 times getting it. Do you think he's oversharing? Or is this where we're at in the community where this is where we're at?
I don't think he's oversharing because I don't think that we should let STDs stigmatize our lives. People should not have this any sexual relations or any STDs that they've had held against. It shouldn't be held against them in their lives. I have personally had STDs before. I told you I had gonorrhea before, and I know exactly who I got it from. My story is kind of similar, but not that much. I went out to a very popular hookup bar here in New York, and I got entirely too intoxicated. I think that I just broke up with somebody or something happened, and I got way too intoxicated. I know, right? And I went home with this guy that I never would have went home with before. And I think I had turned him down 3 times before that.
Did he try and pee in your ass too?
No, he didn't. I don't really remember.
Maybe he did. No, okay.
Maybe he did. Who knows? Because I was so wasted that I actually took him home after turning him down like 3 times. And I just remember having issues down there, you know the telltale signs of when you have an STD. And I went to the doctor and he was like, sure enough, you have something down there. So I'm not here to judge. I live in a glass house as far as this is concerned. I am not throwing any stones because I need protection. I know, right? So I just think it seems to me like he's a little bit cavalier as far as this is concerned, and his stance on chlamydia and other STDs that are out there, because PrEP only protects you from HIV, basically.
Right.
So you have to be mindful and wary of other STDs that are out there. Syphilis is running rampant through our community, and we need to be able to take stock and do what we need to do in order to protect ourselves from other STDs other than HIV.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I understand what you're saying. I think he seemed a little cavalier about it, telling a little bit of a story with it. But if he has that many followers, the one thing that he is doing, he's talking about coming straight out of a test with the nurse. So I think we can look at it in one way as he's being a little flippant about the whole thing, but he also has influence. And one of the things he's doing is saying, I just got tested again. And that final test that he was posting in the video, by the way, he was negative. He's actually showing in a way that testing is very important. And he probably goes more often than not because maybe he's more sexually active. So while I do agree with you, and I think my first thought, because if you watch the whole video and you'll know what I'm talking about, audience, when you see it, it seems chatty Cathy and it seems
like a throwaway issue.
However, he's normalizing it, I think, for a lot of his millions of followers, that he is going regularly to get tested. And I think when you are being more sexually active, even though it's a 3-month rule between PrEP to get your next dosage, that Jeremy says this all the time, if you know you're going to be more sexually active in a period of time, then you're going to need to be going to get tested more, even though it's not required by our health professionals. So I do agree with you, but I do think he's actually, in his own way, doing a good thing. And for hopefully his followers, they're getting the message that I need to, if I'm also that sexually active, need to go a little bit more regularly, like this boo, and get checked out, so we don't continue to spread things like this. So I think it's good.
Agree. Yes. I also, maybe I'm holding a little bit of, I feel like I'm holding a little bit of judgment. I'm kind of scared to say this because I know that he had a boyfriend just a year ago. So I'm kind of doing the math, and as far as and Bryce says he dated a guy that got gonorrhea 3 times in a year and blamed it on Bryce. So I'm doing the math.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say it again.
So I'm thinking he got chlamydia 3 times in 1 year. And that's why it seems a little bit like it's just kind of his attitude is cavalier. And I'm kind of relating it to the comment that Bryce had put into the comment section, that he dated a guy that got gonorrhea 3 times in a year, and the guy blamed Bryce for getting gonorrhea. And Bryce says he hadn't had sex in a year before that guy and tested negative for everything. And now that guy looks stupid, Bryce says.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for this guy that's on TikTok who has millions of followers isn't blaming anybody at all, right?
No.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
which I think is
not at all.
the way to do it, especially if you have followers like that. I have had people, even somebody I was close with before, blame me. So, for example, I had this guy that I've talked about. I used to date him in the 90s, and then he was my love of my life, I thought. And then we were redating just to refresh everyone's memory. And when we were on the second time around, he had gotten these texts. So apparently you can get these texts periodically from certain people that says you've been exposed to a STI and in your network.
Like the coronavirus.
Yes. And so he had gotten those in the period where we were reconnecting, and he reached out to me a couple different times and asked me, do you have this? Did I get this? And I was like, he was the only person I was sleeping with, and I had none of these things. And I was like, no. And then he sent it to me again. Did you do? And I'm like, no, you're getting this on your own through other people. I did not send this to you. I think it was something where you could send it anonymously to somebody, and he was kind of blaming me too. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, when I did get this, I actually did confront the person because I actually did run into them again, but I was letting them know, and I think they agreed that, yeah, but I think I was just letting them know that, hey, I got this from you, by the way. I'm pretty sure I got it from you. But that's all. Yeah. I mean, the reality is I think you shouldn't go too far when it comes to the blame game, is because we can all get this. No. And really, yes, we do say when we know we got it from somebody, but I participated in this game too. So it's not like you gave me this, because we can all get it easily from somebody, and we can always give something to somebody else. So yeah, I think that's where we all stand on that. Any other comments before we move on?
Just be as safe as possible. I guess that's my point. Just be as safe as you can be, basically.
Yes.
I don't see any other comments though.
Absolutely. And lastly, on our health quest that we are on currently, there's a great article on advocate.com that I want to post on TAGSPodcast.com about questions every gay bi man should ask their physical. It's written by Michael Kelly, and the whole article is about an annual physical that he says many of us often in the LGBT community do not get, but how important it really can be for us. He says many of us get it at the beginning of the year because oftentimes our insurance companies cover it. Interestingly enough, Kodi, for whatever reason, mine's at the end of the year. It's always in December prior to the holiday season. That's what I've set up for myself. So it's always that end of the year results that I'm getting that end up determining how my Christmas is going to be. But so everything's always good, and everything's always, you can work through it. But he says it's so important for many of us to undergo an annual physical. If you're not, it took me a long time to get on that path. I have been doing it for the last several years. I am now in my early 50s, so I think it's more important. But it's really important the more sexually active you are. Again, we are going to have Dr. Goldstein, proctologist, the ass doctor, on the show in a couple of weeks. And he really talks about our ass health. So for many of us, bottoms and tops should really pay attention. But the importance of looking at things like HPV and cervical and things like anal cancers and little things like hemorrhoids and fissures that can happen. He talks about keeping your ass healthy. And back to this article, it really just talks about getting blood work done so that you can avoid long-term health effects. I think the author of the article suggested that he ended up having a minor cancer in his ass region, but they caught it so early on that he didn't even have to go through chemotherapy or any of the things that are associated with normal cancers because of regular screenings, because they caught it early. And so I think what you'll hear from Dr. Goldstein and what I advocate just from my own is that keep your regular screenings, have a doctor that you're really comfortable with. He advocates for a gay doctor, but actually, and I was talking to the guy that I'm dating that I have a straight doctor, and he said he did too for so long. You can be comfortable with your straight doctor too, but it's really being really comfortable on the issues that us LGBTQ go through. And what are your thoughts on this about screenings and so forth?
Oh, I totally agree. I was going to bring up the issue of because it's time for my yearly physical, and I was going to bring up the issue that I need to get an anal pap smear. I need to make sure everything is good and that I have a clean bill of health. Yeah, because it's really necessary in this day and time. Because as we mentioned before, in the previous segment and the segment before, we have to be our own advocates at the end of the day, and we have to make sure that we're taking our health into our own hands because that's what we mainly have. It's not the money that we have. Our health is paramount as far as our lives are concerned.
Right.
Alan W. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Alan W. says having a gay doctor or a gay-friendly doctor is important as you want to talk about your sexual health and you want your doctor to understand. It took me a while to find a good doctor and urologist. Oh, I need to find a urologist.
Right. I mean, I hear all those things and I would 100% agree. I'm so locked into my doctor and I'm so comfortable with him. But then I am fortunate that I can go see Dr. Goldstein for my ass health separately in addition to it. But it is something that the article really states, and it's a really good read. I really encourage everybody to read it because it's about our health and about taking, like you just stated, we say this all the time, you have to almost take control of your own health. And we talk about things like when you are sexually active and you're getting tested for the STIs, and oftentimes many of them won't do the swabs in your throat and your ass. For chlamydia, they'll do things like you pee in a cup and you think you're good to go, but it can actually live in your throat and your ass. So when I've known I've been more oral or taking it up the ass more, I have actually had to tell, but this is because we do the show and because I know better. I've told my general practitioner, can we do the swab? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. But this is me now knowing, taking control of my own health. But I think I would recommend for those that are really, Dr. Goldstein said he's seeing clients as young as 19. And the kids are starting younger.
That's great. I mean,
and when you're starting younger,
they're taking control of their health for themselves. It's good. It's start them young because they need to know for the future. So,
for bottoming health in particular, if young bottoms want to take things bigger that need to last them for the long haul, you want to get up with a gay doctor that knows what he's doing and that then could maybe align themselves with the proper proctologist. And then, of course, like you said later, a urologist. So there's all kinds of things, but you want to get in that mindset and get away from the fact that it's scary to go to the doctor and, I don't want to talk about that. There's all sorts of other things that they can look at. Your metabolic panel, your testosterone, which we talk about, which you can do with our sponsor, by the way, Roman. Just go to our page and get a discount by joining Roman. You go to ro.co/tags. You'll get your discount code there, tags, and they can test your testosterone if you're in between your general practitioner and know where you're at. They can tell you your levels and they can prescribe things to deal with it. So definitely do all these things. They're really good.
Check it out. That's fab. I got to check that out.
Any comments you want to read, Kodi, before we move on?
I think that we are caught up on comments.
Good. Yeah. All righty. We should talk about the Christian Walker situation, I think, because all I'm going to say is Christian Walker and George Santos. Are they a match made in heaven or hell? That's all I have to say. Apparently, Christian.
I want to go to. Okay, if they're a match made in heaven.
You all remember Christian Walker. We've talked about him on the show before. His father was running for senator, was it?
And I think he was running for the Senate in Georgia. Yes.
Yes,
so.
and lost, and for many reasons. And his son, Christian Walker, is a outspoken, I guess, social media persona, also gay right winger. And he apparently tweeted the other day that George Santos has told me I had a good ass in my jeans. Not kidding. Now I'm just worried that he was lying about that too. So which probably. I don't know that I would brag about this, that I was talking to George Santos before. He said he apparently knew him from some events before, but now he thinks that he's lying, and he's worried that maybe his ass doesn't look as good as it looks. I mean, this doesn't get any better than Christian Walker and George Santos having it
or
out,
any worse.
Or any worse.
The two of them together is like double trouble to the upteenth percentage, because I almost logged out and left when you said both their names together, because they're
but it's so perfect and juicy, in line with George Santos, and we haven't heard from Christian in a minute. And so, of course, Christian had to insert himself into the situation with none other than George Santos, which, if that's George's real name, I mean, as we speak.
I thought it was Katara. I thought her name was Katara.
Katara. He has other last names. He stepped down from all of his duties in Senate while they investigate him right now. I mean, it's daily with him, on the hourly with him. And the fact that Christian Walker would want to, I think, to keep himself relevant, but George Santos had his ex come out in Brazil speak out on him, but it wasn't flattering. He just said that they dated before. I don't know if you read that story. I'll try and find that one and put it on TAGSPodcast.com, but he essentially saying he's a big fat liar. That's one thing if you knew him before and you were fooled by him, but for Christian to come out and say that they had this, like, you know, maybe met at an event before, but then we're just going back and forth. It just is so thirsty to me. And Christian's just trying to get back into the mix. But why would you ever do it with George Santos, who's the butt of every joke right now? It's just ridiculous.
He just wants to get his name out there. He's just really trying to be relevant and trying to keep his name on people's lips. And as far as I'm concerned, it's in a negative way. And I think that he's the most ridiculous person out there in the world, as far as I can see, because he's so contradictory to himself and to the ethics and the values that I hold to myself. So, and as far as George Santos is concerned, he has so many aliases out there. He could probably marry them and himself. He can marry them as Katara, and then he could be married as George Santos, and then Christian can be his husband. And I feel like there's a myriad of possibilities as far as the two of them getting together, and I am here for none of them.
I'm here for the drama, though.
Yeah. Oh, always here for the drama. I'm always here for the drama, but keep it far away from me, basically. What were you going to say?
I know people have a lot to say. Do you want to read some of the comments?
Yeah. Maddie says that it's the House and not the Senate. And then Bryce says, I want to be into Christian, but damn, a hottie with a terrible personality. Oh, no, Bryce. Please don't tell me that.
I know. I mean, you know what it is that when somebody, actually, if you were to look at Christian, yes, he's a very cute guy. He is. It's just when you know something too much about somebody, there's a lot of people that I've seen before, and then they open their mouth, and I'm like, oh no, oh
Oh
no,
no.
oh
His
no.
personality
And it's
just
just we know
ruins it
too
for him.
much, and that always ruins it for me any day. But I hear you. I guess that's what he's saying.
That is what he's saying, but I can't get past the personality.
I love Xavier's comment watching us live every Wednesday night on the Vocal platform. Xavier says, we'll see George replace Todrick in the second season of Real Friends. Well, Xavier, you're giving that show a lot of credit that you're giving it a second season, because I don't see a second season being greenlit, but that's optimistic, and I think you're right. George would be great on that. Christian would be great on it. I'm surprised they didn't ask them. That would be real drama. If
that would be horrible for our public gay image, because I can't. I really don't want them to represent the gay community.
But the drama of it all. And I think at this point, we can separate.
You are here for the drama.
I'm here for the drama, because unlike Dorion, who acts like, oh, I didn't know type of thing, it's like, bitch, you've been on a reality show before.
Mm-hmm.
In the name of 2023, you know what this is about. I feel like Christian and George, if nothing else, and I repeat, if nothing else, could actually do well on one of these types of reality shows, because they have nothing to lose. They have shown how low they can go in real life, and they are going to just serve it up, because where else do you go when you're that down? Some of these other ones that try and do these reality shows that are, I'm this, I'm that, and oh, I didn't know it was going to be this, and that we didn't know that this network was, it's like, calm down. It's a reality show, bitch. Own up
they don't care.
to it. Yeah, these two that we're talking about would actually give us what we're looking for in a reality show. Drama.
And they don't care what people think. So I can see your point. I do not agree, but I can see your point. And also, they would be able to take control of their narrative and not whine about the edit.
Bloop. Can I add one more person to this newer version of season 2? So we've got George Santos and Christian Walker. Jussie Smollett.
Oh no!
Yes. More. What else does he have to learn? I mean, what else does he have to lose?
Oh, come on!
Isn't this turning out into
not juicy?
Really good drama, right?
Oh no, I can't. I'm sorry.
We have Todrick Hall like trying to defend his dramas that are simply like, oh, I didn't pay a dancer. Ooh, big deal. We could have Jussie Smollett in place of him and actually being like, I didn't fake this, but we could get into the like real juicy stuff. The other one's in the Senate. We could juicy stuff. I wanted to see all these people in this cast.
Get on the production team. I say you pitch it. I say not we. I say you pitch it.
Okay, bitch. I hear you. I heard it. We have to move on because we have a lot to talk about. I did kind of want to briefly talk. I don't know. Do you want to talk about this next story about Adam Rippon?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it because this is really funny. I'm a big fan of Olympian diver Adam Rippon, and he keeps getting in the news because apparently he's a total neat freak. And one of his current Instagram or TikToks was all about in his garage, and literally you could have eaten on the floor of his garage, and he opens up the cabinets in the garage, and every cleaning product has a place. Well, his latest one is he says, is this intense? And he asked a second time, I know it is. And he's talking about his underwear in the drawer that are in this cubicle boxes that he created. And each underwear, he shows you how to fold with perfectly fold it and curl it up and place it in. He understands how crazy he is, but I am convinced, Kodi, that the gays and everyone I date, in fact, I asked the guy that I went out with on the third date last night, please tell me you're not a total neat freak. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, take this pepper shaker right here. It's right here. Do you need it to be right here? Or is it okay right here? And he's like, I do have a little bit of OCD. I'm like, oh, here we go. Damn it. But he's like, but I'm not that crazy. He did come over to my apartment last night. Boom, chicka, boom, choom, like you said.
Yeah.
He liked what he saw. And my place is always in a nice, neat moment. Everything's, but you know, some of my clothes aren't perfectly. If my underwear drawer compared to Adam's is like there's 95 socks that don't have a matching pair with them.
Steve,
it just is what it is, but I don't fucking care. Who cares? It's not that serious. I mean, I've heard, what about you? Do you think that us gays are a little bit too neat sometimes and it's hard to keep up with them?
I think gays can be very insanely OCD, but
where does that come from?
I was going to say, first let's unpack that, because I feel like gay people feel like they have to be perfect in order to receive love, because we've been taught by society that something is wrong with us for our entire lives. Okay. So I think that is where a lot of the need to have everything in its place comes from. Also, the sense of control, because I feel like a lot of us have felt like we have not had a place where we felt like we were in control of our own power and our own narrative as people.
What does that have to do with underwear being in a neat little package?
So I feel like
it's underwear.
When you actually have something that you can exert your control over, then you tend to obsess over that. Does that make sense?
Is this in your life coaching?
It's in my new book. It's in my life coaching book that I'm writing currently. While you go and produce the Real House Friends of Weho
and the drama. I mean, I don't get it. But believe me, I'm neat enough. And the guy came over and he looked around, and I do. You've been over, and it's not like beautiful. It's not a disarray. But my underwear drawer, I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it to Adam Rippon and say that we talked about this on this show, and say, can you please, the next time you're in New York, help me out, because this is what mine looks like. And you got to help me record that and post that back to him, because I love him, but I couldn't handle. The thing that makes me nervous is when you get with people like this, all of a sudden, do they expect us to be like that? I mean, there's one thing like, you know what, boo, I don't want your underwear on the floor. Can you please pick up after yourself?
I know I'm call me out like that.
I'm just using quotables that I've heard in the past from people. I think that that's normal behavior. Like, can you clean up the piss around the toilet bowl and put the toilet seat down when our girlfriends come over? Those kinds of things, I think, are natural. But folding your underwear into a tiny little ball, what do you call those? Like Japanese... like origami moment, like a sushi roll, or an origami moment. It's like, I'm just gonna rip it out and put it on. It probably has holes. It probably has holes in it anyway, and it's just because I haven't thrown out that underwear in a minute.
Yeah,
it's just
dumb.
Can
we talk about that he made those things? That in and of itself is...
He has a little bit too... That Olympian...
way too much.
Adam has a little bit too much time on his hands these days if he's making these things. And the funny thing is, just to shout out to somebody that people are up in arms about, some of you might follow Marie Kondo. She has a Netflix series. She's all about... talking about everything has a place, get rid of things. She came out recently the other day saying that with her third child, she's gotten a little bit messy, and it's everybody that's followed her is coming down on her like, what? You just flippantly decided like that? She's causing a huge storm. I feel like Adam's going to do the same thing too one day. He's going to burst.
Because it's hard to keep up with that.
It's a lot of fucking work. Who has time to put your underwear in who has time to put your hold out underwear that has holes in it in an origami moment and create
Eli does apparently.
Okay, what are people saying?
Eli in the comments.
What are people saying?
Eli says that's why my underwear drawer looks. That's what his underwear drawer looks like. They're all folded neatly. But I don't. We have to send everybody the video because it is actually insane. I don't understand how we could do it.
Sounds like Eli.
I have way too much underwear to fold it all neatly. I have an underwear fetish. I've said this on this show before, and my drawer sometimes, like you said, sometimes it won't even shut. And Joe has me throw away stuff all the time. So I could never.
I just feel like I have more important things to do and more way. Like I want my house. I want my house to be neat enough. And yes, I do want to. I do want to do a spring cleaning. I do want to get rid of stuff and clear away because I have way too much crap. But I don't want to spend too much time. It sounds like too much work, and I would rather spend time with you guys on this show than folding my underwear in an origami moment, and which is going to take like 5 hours to do because I'm not going to get it right. And now I'm on below the deck, and it's just ridiculous. If I'm going to do that, I need alcohol.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I need to have a sip, fold in a piece of underwear, have another sip, and it's never going to get
8 bottles of wine while you spring clean for hours. So that's what we need to do. We need to have a day. We need to take a day and spring clean and drink all the alcohol. Bryce says too many gays are OCD about a clean home, but sloppy in the gay community. I wanted to read that one, and because I thought that was very sloppy. Shady and wonderful.
He thinks we're sloppy in the gay community?
Not us, because we're not OCD.
Okay. I mean, I think I just have a lot to say. I just don't want. I mean, everything's neat in my room. It's just the underwear drawer is a hot mess, and I need to go through it. But I'm never in a million years. I need to go through it and get rid of those 90 pairs of unmatched socks and some of the holy underwear. But not holy. It's not been blessed, people. But like holes in it. But or maybe they're jock straps.
Gay people anymore.
Yeah. But I just think it's so much, and I just wonder. Hopefully, people like Adam and Eli have partners that are on board with that. Because when you get with somebody, what's life going to be like? Do we all have to then subscribe to that form of it?
A relationship is about compromise, and if they don't know how to compromise, then they don't want to be in a relationship. Boom. That's a mic drop right there. And Eli also says that it's not, because I said it was one underwear drawer. Eli has 3 underwear drawers. That is what
my God. I love it.
Send it to us, Eli. Okay, we want to see this. and he folds boyfriend's underwear as well. Wow,
I love it. We do have to move on, but I love that you're commenting on this. This apparently struck a chord. I do think we want to hear from you, listeners, outside of this. When you get this, how neat are you? Are you as neat as Adam Rippon and that level of Maria Kondo, or are you somewhere in between, or are you a slob, or how does it work when you date somebody? Let us know where you are on the spectrum. We want to know. You can always reach out to us at TAGSPodcast, DM us on our Instagram at TAGSPodcast, Twitter, all the above. Kodi, we have enough time to do a Reddit thread, and I want you to pick your favorite one. Like, put your hand in the basket and pick out the one that you. I mean, no, but I'm just making that up. But I want you to really pick
a basket. That would be amazing.
I have a basket for you. Somebody told me they liked my basket the other day. They're like, "Oh my God, I love how low hanging at the Eagle." And anyways, that's a sidebar.
We need to go to the Eagle soon. So let's go with.
Don't take too much time, bitch.
I know, right? So let's go with the one that we both really like, the social rules one, because we both really like that one.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to
Oh,
read it?
go
Oh,
ahead.
I can read it. So what social rules apply to us within society? Also, what are some cases in which no rules apply to us? So this Reddit user asks, in places where we have our freedom, I have noticed there seems to be almost a vacuum of social norms for us as LGBTQ plus people. For example, a hetero guy looks at a woman in an objectifying manner and he is called a pest. But for gay men, there seems to be a vacuum. Well, this can be quite liberating for us to have no expectations to live up to. It can be a little difficult to navigate certain social situations. I thought this was really interesting. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I did. And I think essentially the guy's saying that he's noticed a difference between how if a straight guy, and I agree with this, were to
Hmm.
ever give a certain look to a woman in a public
Hmm.
place that's gawking in any sort of way, that it's
Hmm.
inappropriate. And I would 100% agree. I
Yeah.
do love the dichotomy that's totally different in our LGBTQ, particularly gay world, that at times is not the same protocol. In other words,
Hmm.
you can be in a gay bar and somebody can look you up and down and it's not as awful. You just might
Like you're
look a
something
what.
good to eat.
Yeah, right. I do think where I think he might be wondering when it's inappropriate is it is not okay, just like it isn't in the scenario he was initiating with, like with a straight guy looking at a woman. It's not okay in our world as well to then assume that you could touch somebody.
Hmm. Mm.
And I do know, with the caveat, that if you're in certain cruise bars, and I'll only use the one that I'm experienced with is here in New York, the Eagle that we reference so much, but it's a cruise bar, but I know there's plenty of them around the world. So I know that you know what I'm talking about, is that when you're in particularly cruise bar situations, and if you're like at a jockstrap party, for example, a guy's hand might go on your ass, but that's
Yeah,
part of
it
the
does sometimes.
protocol at the venue, and that's what's
Hmm.
okay. So, with that caveat, I do think it's never okay to just go up to touch somebody and think that
Hmm.
that's okay. But I do think we have a little bit more license in our community when you're out and about. I mean, we talk so much about the apps. We didn't get to it on this show. We'll keep this story for another one about the
Hmm.
dangers of app use and what you don't know, what you don't see when you're on the apps. But you do know a little bit more about somebody when you see them in person. At least you can tell a little bit about their energy. You can tell if they're crazy or not just by their physical
Not
presence.
always.
Are they not always, but you can tell a little bit more than you can if you were just talking on the phone with on the
Yeah.
apps. And so I do think we have a little bit more leeway, and I love that about our community, that we have that, and I indulge in it at times. But I guess this question is, when is it okay and when it is not? I think you should
Hmm.
know a little bit when it's inappropriate. If you're not getting the same feedback from that person back, don't go there.
Yes, I agree. So I think that this kind of breaks down things as far as social dynamics. And in society right now, I feel like with the male female relationship, females are, this is generally speaking, they're looked at as more vulnerable or weaker than men. So in a gay relationship, you don't have that disparity in equal as vulnerability, basically. So I feel like for gay men, both of them are on equal terms as far as being looked at as vulnerable sexually or not. So I think that's where a lot of our freedom comes from, to actually look at other men or what have you, straight men, gay men, trans men, whomever, whatever type of men you prefer, but looking at them lasciviously. So I think that that's where our freedom comes from as gay men, to be able to do that. So I think that in those instances, the only barrier, and I agree with you 100%, is when somebody says no, no means no at the end of the
Yes.
day. When somebody
Perfect.
says that that they don't want to be touched. That means that they don't want to be touched or looked at or what have you. So that is the one barrier that is undefinable, undeniable. Sorry, and should always be here too.
It's a great question to ask, and I think I've been in situations before. As much as I go to these cruise bars, I've welcomed that. I've been in situations like jockstrap parties where the norm in that situation is I'm in my jockstrap. Someone's going to grab my ass, and I'm okay with it. I've been in other situations where it wasn't a jockstrap moment. It was just a normal bar, and somebody decided that they were getting a little bit too comfortable, familiar with me, and they were starting to put their arms around me. And I've literally grabbed in people's arms.
Yes.
And said, no, just pull this over here in a nicer way to say that this is not welcome. And hopefully 9 times out of 10, they've gotten the message. So it is a fine line. It's a great question. People are saying online, Maddie says, the good thing about meeting someone in person is they don't usually immediately demand a nude photo of you. True, right.
I think that's the bad thing. No,
I'm with Maddie because I'm all about well, the guy I met, I told you I met him on the nude beach. I said this before, and when we were,
so it doesn't apply.
When we were boom chicka boom chug on our third date yesterday here in this apartment, in this somewhat messy apartment, he was saying to me, he says, oh, and we met naked, and here we are naked again. And I was like, oh my God, you did not say that. Oh my, I should have written that line. Anyways,
you can reuse it.
What is Alan W saying?
Alan W says a guy at work hung a poster of Magic Mike in his office, but if a poster of a woman in a bikini was hung up, a straight guy would not fly. He thinks it's funny, but no complaints from him. Yeah, and it's
where do you work, Alan? I love that. It sounds very Farrah Fawcett back in the 70s. Eli says,
honestly, I kind of don't agree with that. I think that it's not appropriate to have a Magic Mike poster up at work. But I mean, hey,
that's what I mean. I'm just wondering, where does he work? It's so interesting that but remember back in the day, Farrah Fawcett posters of her in her bikini. Eli Vasquez says they just fired a guy I worked with for touching a woman at work. Okay, it's real. Xavier, also watching us live on Wednesday night here, says it depends on the situation. You expect unexpected touches at the Cock or the Eagle, places that we've talked about here, but maybe not at Julius's. Iconic. Got to remember to read the room. That's exactly what we were saying. Right. If you're at one of those cruise bars, it's one thing. If you're not, read the room. Get the okay. I love it, people. Always fun. So much fun, Kodi.
Oh, yes. Are we going to do Thirst Trap? Or
do you want to do Thirst Trap?
I mean, we could do it really quick. This is my favorite thing in the row. All right, okay. I'm going to put it in the
oh, thank you. Yeah. So one of our favorite things is Thirst Trap by Straight Up Gay Porn, and they're back this year. And this week, they asked the question, out of 16 gay porn stars, who took the best photo or video? You do kind of have to go through it because there is several videos in there, and our job is to descriptively tell you why we picked the one we did on an audio podcast. I had a few, but who was your favorite, Kodi?
Oh, yes. So first of all, I just want to say that me and Joe and I decided this while we were talking to my mom, which is kind of out there, but my mom couldn't see it, so I have no if, ands, or buts about deciding my thirst trap while talking to my mother. But my vote goes to Cao, I don't know how to pronounce it, Xiao Veron, and I think maybe it's the hopeless romantic in me, but he looks so wonderful, butt ass naked, except for I think he has like a little Kabbalah bracelet on, right? On his
I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. His dick is hard and his body is toned and lean, and his face is beautiful, but he's also got a bottle of wine and assortment of cheeses and nuts. Oh. Who doesn't like a nut?
Charcuterie at all.
It just reminded me of Valentine's Day and how I want to see my boyfriend Joe.
Aww. I love that. Not my favorite holiday, but that's okay. Good for you. My favorite goes to a guy that goes by Stardust Gravit, and it's a video, and he says in his video, "Can my next load go down your throat?" And it's this video of him just jerking off. He has a beautiful dick, and the angle is shooting upwards, and you just see the face. And I love that dichotomy of that. It reminds me a little bit of last night that I was and I'm all about that kind of moment, and so he gets my vote. Alan W says, Nathan, nice curve on his cock. I like a good curve on someone's dick too. Yeah, I think I was telling you, same guy, nice curve.
And Eli says Raheem Shabazz, which is a great picture because we love Raheem Shabazz here. And then, did you want to read Xavier's?
Kraken wouldn't mind origamiing his boxers. Oh, okay. Did I read that right?
Yes, you got it right, because I was going to say organizing, but it definitely says origamiing.
I read it exactly as I saw it. As a former voiceover actor, I looked at it and I looked and saw it. Bryce says Starboy for me. Maddie watching us live says Grayson. Maddie also says Grayson Cole. Thank you guys for playing. So much fun. This will be posted so everybody listening can play it on TAGSPodcast.com. You can vote. So while you're on there, vote for your favorite because they get tallied up. And at the end of the year, Straight Up Gay Porn chooses the best of the whole year. Who took the best shot or video of the whole year? So we want you to play and support Straight Up Gay Porn, our partner in this. Lastly, you can follow my co-host, Kodi. He's a life coach. Follow him at KMD Coaching. Also follow him on his personal account at Mr. Maurice. You can follow me. I am _Steve V. Or, of course, on every social media platform, and I mean everyone, Tags Podcast, at Tags Podcast, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, at Tags Podcast, and support our sponsors because they really what keeps us going. Check them out. Right. We got some good ones this month. We know you could use them as well. I want to thank our live virtual audience. So much fun for playing. Thanks, Kodi. Always fun.
Apes, always so much fun.
Oh, you're right. Alan W says he's wearing a Tags shirt too. Thank you. I know.
We are warm mind next week.
We're celebrating 6 years next week. So in the meantime, Kodi, continue having hot gay sex.
Yes.